I'm so excited about my next coffee conversation, but first I want to set it up a little bit. Shannon Downey, aka BadassCrossStitch, is a force. I want to take the time to share a little of her work so you have an idea of the message she's advocating for. Shannon believes in destroying the patriarchy. She believes that people should be held accountable, and she believes that white privilege is something that we really need to reckon with. So, with that, let's have coffee.
Good morning.
Hello, Jillian.
So good to see you.
Likewise.
I love that you're coming to us live from the RV, which we're going to get to, but it's looking good.
Thank you. My new seat covers arrived this week. I'm feeling very
so
bright.
Nice. Oh my gosh, I love it. So you are my first non-indie specific interview. But I mean, you know that I love you. And so, and you've come to Indy before. We've done a stitch up here. But you're just doing such cool things. And I think with the political climate that we're in, you're the perfect guest for Trace Indy. So I'm so excited. So a little bit of background for those of you watching at home or on your phone. Shannon and I met. It's called Chairman Mom Flea. It was a retreat in the wilderness, glamping. And Shannon taught us how to stitch and how to kind of use our voice in different ways. And some of you that know me know it is scary to look at a blank page sometime and be like, what do I want to put, right? What trace do I want to leave on this canvas? And she kind of pushes you through in a really gentle but do the thing way. It's really good. So that's how Shannon and I know each other, and I kind of just never let her go, and I bring her here when I can, and hopefully she'll bring that RV through. But Shannon, explain, because I'm going to mess it up. What do you do?
Wonderful question. I am a full-time art activist now. So art activist, craftivist, whatever. I'm like a community organizer who tricks people into hanging out with me under the guise of embroidery. And then I make them talk about really hard things. It's great. They love hanging out with me. I'm like, come embroider. So white privilege. Let's talk about that. They're like, hi.
So, okay, so you're an activist, craftivist. How did you get here? Like, how did we get to this point, to this RV?
I think that if you look at my life, it only makes sense to me until I tell you how it makes sense. And then everyone's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But otherwise it makes no sense because I've done everything. I ran a digital marketing company that I started for 10 years. I was the director of development for Asian Americans Advancing Justice Chicago. I teach at DePaul, I teach at Columbia, right? Like, if you look, I mean, I have a degree in archaeology and leisure theory. Like, nothing makes sense.
Which I think is the coolest thing. Leisure theory, I'm into it.
I mean, it's pretty rad. I'm testing that theory all the time. So yeah, I don't know that any of it makes sense, but I know that the thread through all of it is community building, like giving voice, finding voice, helping people cultivate their voice, and taking action, right? So those are sort of the threads. Over the last 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, I've been making art as a way to create some digital analog balance in my life. That's how it started. I was running this digital company. I was so burnt out from being connected all the time. I needed something. I started stitching because I saw this Star Trek pattern on Etsy and I thought it was hysterical. And then I quickly moved to, you know, making my own stuff, and then really moved into like, oh, this is a really excellent medium for creating space to think. And so I started really taking the activism work that I was doing and the topics around social justice issues and whatnot, and incorporating them into the art almost as like a personal therapy and a personal exploration. And then it blew up from there. It's turned into this crazy thing that I didn't ever see coming, could not have predicted this, but it is 1000% exactly what I'm supposed to be doing in the world. And so like knowing that and having that feeling, maybe for the first time ever, like so confidently, like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, is a pretty transformative feeling. But I couldn't have gotten here without doing all of the other things that I did and loving them while I was doing them. But it was like leading me to here. And now here is where I'm supposed to be. And that feels amazing.
I love that. And so I keep referencing this RV. And for those that don't follow Shannon, which I should have said, not just Shannon Downey, BadassCrossStitch, she has upended her life. She has sold everything, her apartment in Chicago, her car, her everything, and she bought this RV, which looks amazing. You'll have to tell us the name here in a moment. And now she's going to start this cross-country journey. So again, hopefully we get her back here to Indy, which would be amazing. I have an inclined driveway, but you can park in the front yard. It'll be fine. So tell us about this RV. And I know it's been a journey, so I also will put in your link so people can follow along, because it has been both hilarious and I'm sorry.
It's a lot. Like, so I made this plan a year before COVID, right? So I gave my work 8 months notice so that I could, hire my replacement and train them and make sure that they're good. And I'd given up my apartment or, not signed my lease, and was really like, yeah. And I had like 50 fundraising events that were all happening for between March and June to fund the rest of it, and or whatever that means. And then COVID happened, and I was like, so guess I'm still doing this, but like this is gonna look really different. And I can't even predict what it's gonna look like because every event got canceled. I had like over 80 events and a whole map drawn out between my launch on July 1st through December. I knew where I was going, what I was going to do, and how I was funding this, and then all of those got canceled, every single one. So I was like, okay. Holy shit. So I bought an RV because I needed one, because I gave everything else up and sold everything and had to do the thing. I bought it the week. Like literally, if I had bought it 1 week later, I wouldn't have been able to afford it.
Yeah.
But I bought it at exactly the right moment without knowing it. Got a great deal, thank God. Didn't buy it. I'm financing it now, which is different than the vision, right? But you just make it work. And so this is Imperator Furiosa, and she is a Winnebago, and she's delightful. And then I hit the road on June 30th, and I was terrified because I hadn't seen people, I hadn't done anything. I've been very insular. The nice thing is that this is insular, right? Like this is my home and my car, and I technically never have to leave it.
You kind of set it up. So I was just going to ask you your struggles, but we got it. But, you did kind of allude to the RV is a delight, but even in COVID, right? So even in COVID, even with all these travels and or not all these travels, and all these cancellations and all these things, what have you been finding? Where's your joy? Where's those little bits? And that doesn't have to be big. Like it can be those beautiful new cushions that or covers that no longer, as you said, your thighs don't stick to.
Oh, yeah, thank God, man. I was like, I can't live like this. If there's one thing I can't live with, it's my ass sticking to this stupid seat while I work all day. I can't handle that. I have tons of joy, honestly. Like, it's been fun to innovate around this, right? Because, I was just stuck in my apartment in Chicago, right? And like, I was losing it, At least this, while I'm like, stuck in my RV, like, is that even a thing? I'm going places, right? Like I'm at my parents right now. It's nice to see them and like have human people around me because I just didn't have that. I live alone, so it was rough. And then just innovating around like what this could still be, right? So everything is now Zoom based for the most part, and I since March have taught over 1,300 people how to stitch around the world via Zoom.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so like, and I started a cult. Did I tell you that?
No, but I'm kind of disappointed I haven't been invited or indoctrinated yet, rather.
Well, you should be, you should be, yeah, we'll get that hooked up. So every Sunday I host a cult meeting, which used to be called the Stitch Up. And so it's for folks all over the world. Everybody is welcome, and it's all people who are stitchers who are working on stuff. And we get together and we have a social gathering every Sunday, and it has become such like a totally needed thing by all of us every Sunday that, you know, now it's morphed into a cult, and I'm looking to buy a compound, and like everybody's selected their roles in the cult. But you know, it's funny, they're like, you would be the worst cult leader ever, and I'm like, what do you mean? And they were like, you want everybody to be like a free thinker and doing their own thing. And I was like, well, yeah, we're gonna reimagine what a cult is, you guys.
I'm in for this.
Yeah, okay, good. It's called So Culty.
That's so good.
STW, you know that though. It's so great.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, and like I've done some like real life things, right?
Yeah.
The other day, like 6 of us, you know, I'm super uncomfortable with humans right now in real life. So like I really have to vet you, and it has to be a very small group, and it has to be outside, and we're all wearing masks, and I don't come near you. Right. Like those are the rules. But so like this week I went to the Fuller Craft Museum and met up with all the New England folks who had worked on Rita's quilt. And we met outside and we stitched and we wore masks and we like just hung out for a bit. And so it's nice to like, okay, we're meeting, right? Like I'm meeting these people that I've been working with for so long. And I'm gonna do another one in Boston next weekend in a park. So like I'm finding ways to still bring people together. But yeah, I mean, it looks totally different than what I had planned for. But there's parts of it that I'm really grateful for, because I think the pace that I had set was bananas now that I know what it's like to live in an RV. And like I had to cancel this on Tuesday because I had to go fix my air conditioner because it was 100 degrees outside and I had no air conditioner. I was like, I'm sorry, priorities here. Like I can't live like this.
I was so mad.
I know.
Okay, so you're doing amazing things, and you're starting a cult, and you're traveling across the world, the country in an RV. So
it's the country right now.
The country right now, until it turns into like Miss Frizzle's, you know, RV. You can just travel everywhere. What do you need? Like, what can the community, for those watching at home, what can we do? What can the community do to show up? Is that money? Is that just coming to things? Is that signing up? What does that look like for you? What do you need?
I need so much. No, I'm kidding. You know, obviously I want everybody to be stitching with me. So I do workshops all the time. And if anybody wants to like schedule one with me, like an intentional one that I don't have to schedule, yes, let's do that. Like you get your people together and I show up and teach. Hell yeah. I'm doing a lot of that for libraries right now. It's pretty rad. Like libraries across the country are just like having me lead Craftivism 101 workshops. It's really dreamy. Yeah, so showing up for anything that I'm doing virtually is super helpful. I have a GoFundMe. People can give me money. That's fine. I will absolutely use that for the good of the world. Yeah, I don't know. Just like, I don't know. I get joy out of people just following along and like engaging with me, because it does, like, there are real moments of like, this is lonely, right? Like, even though I'm connected to fucking everybody, it's still through the internet, and like, you know, that's it. That's all I got right now. So it's sort of like, Like, I'm like, oh, you liked that I did, you know, like now we're talking about something meaningful, you know, so
Yeah.
just hanging out with people on the internet is great.
Well, good. Well, we can do that, and we will help do that as well. So here's the big question that I always ask at the end of all of these conversations is how are you leaving your trace? How are you leaving, what's that Shannon Downey Badass Cross Stitch legacy?
I mean, my goal is to teach 1,000,000 people how to stitch before I kick it. So hopefully I'm leaving that mark. I mean, for me, it's about like, have I supported people in finding and using their voice? And like, have I built community? And so I believe that I am doing that. And like, that feels like the best mark I could leave. It's just like, have I created and built community, and are they taking action on things that matter? And can
I
I
love that.
support and inspire that?
I love that so much. Shannon, thank you so much for just taking the time in your RV to hang out and have coffee with me and just to chat about what you're doing and, you know, how people can, you know, can show up for that. So thank you so much. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.